I chose to teach this lesson because I think it's a good skill that the kids need to develop to be adults and be good thinkers and really, I don't know how to explain, but like just stop and think and truly take in what they're learning. It's a good experience for them to practice. Well, it actually covers everything. It's not a one subject lesson. It's them coming up with their own questions and just taking the time to really think deeply and be critical thinkers and philosophical thinkers. They're taking wonderings that they have no right or wrong answer, and just listening to each other and going off of what each other says. We do a lot of, and we add in accountable talk into ours, which helps them just be able to speak to each other and understand that it's okay to agree to disagree, and to even something as simple as trying to speak in a complete sentence to somebody. It's with texting and social media and everything, you get kids that are just quick to be like, yep, I don't know, just not learning even the talking skills, thinking skills. It really helps develop the student as a whole. I'll be formatively checking while we're in the circle, seeing how they participate. Some students, my goal is, we've been doing checks quarterly, and for some students my goal is just articulating themselves when they speak. We have students that, like I said earlier, will just, they think they're making so much sense, and really as a listener you're like, but I don't understand what you're talking about. So for some students my goal is just listening to them, trying to help them articulate. Others, it's just seeing if they really are stopping to think and wondering and listening to each other. And then I'll do a summative check at the end. We do a reflection on how they did and if they have any more questions or wonderings afterwards, and it can help you see how deep they were getting with the topic. If they are able to go back to their desk and show it in their writer's notebook, then you can see that that really did make them stop and be a philosophical thinker. Well, expectations are already in place. Just basic expectations. We have a clip chart, a behavior chart. They can go up, they can go down, they can continually move through the day, and it motivates them like nothing else in the class. But even just the P4C expectations, we review them before we start. I'm consistent with it so the students know that that is what is expected, and we have to be a safe community where everyone can feel free to share. And we've talked about, if you don't feel free to share and you feel like it's not a safe place, then we're not going to get the best ideas out. So just reminding them of what our set expectations are. The children help set the expectations so they respect them, and there's usually not a lot of guidance needed for the expectations. It's just there and in place. Well, I use a question box, so the students have, anytime they have free time, they can write a question on a Post-it, and it's just, we have criteria for the questions. You can't Google the answer. It applies to everybody, so it can't just be about like your pet dog. And it creates a wondering, it makes you go, and it's just, they create their own questions, so it's not like I'm coming up with a general big understanding. It's just them having a wondering and everybody taking the time to stop and go, I wonder about that, and really stopping to think. So it's really just whatever they come up with. We do vote. I pull out 3 Post-its, and the class gets to pick what they want to talk about that day, so that helps. They're already interested when you give them that choice. It's engaging because they're choosing it, they're leading it, so they're already excited. They come in we have scheduled time, but I try and incorporate it just naturally. But the scheduled days, they come in, are we doing P4C today? They're so excited about it. And I mean, even if it's not, I've had a few times the topic started off engaging and just died down really fast. And so I'll come in as a teacher and try and give them like a stem off of it that kind of changes the wondering, but it's still the same topic. And then if it really just is dead, then we'll vote. Do we want to move on? Do we want to start something new? I can pick a new Post-it out. So it's naturally engaging, but there are times that topics just, everybody agrees on it and it's over. And so we have to move on to something different, and giving that freedom of we can stay and talk about this for an hour or we can move on to something else helps them stay engaged. It's definitely useful and meaningful. I think it creates a thinker. It helps them, I mean, I hope that when they get older, it like helps them stop and self-reflect on maybe things they said to another person or something they read, and just really create that critical thinking. It's something that's hard to develop in students, is the critical thinking. Sometimes it's just kids have it or they don't, and this kind of gives kids the opportunity to become a critical thinker without teaching like a specific lesson. It's meaningful also because it's student-led. The students are in charge. I don't rush them. If anything, it's just when they're picking somebody, but they choose what it's about. They choose where it goes. They choose if we're going to move on from what we're talking, if they're tired of it. It's just, it's all about them and all about their thinking. And it's the only time they really get to have during the day that's not, okay, we got to move to the next page, or we got to make sure we finish all of this by the end of the day. It's just the time that they can be in charge of their learning. So they definitely see that, and they take it to be more valuable.